Hey, everybody. It's Monday night. Let's make Monday nights great. I'm glad you could be here. Got a great guest for you. Let's get right into it. Our guest, Eric from Spencley, is totally awesome. Got a YouTube channel with over 122,000 subscribers, has well over 100,000 followers on Instagram. He's building a business. He's got a nice website with plans that you can purchase if you'd like. He's got his videos on his website, and he's an excellent content creator. I am very excited to have him. Let's bring him on.
Hey, hey,
Eric
hey.
from Spencley Design Co. So I noticed you say Spencley Design Co. and not company. That's intentional, right?
Yeah, oh my God, the start of naming what to name the business from the get-go. That's a whole nother story. I could go on for hours, but the co was just it was already getting long. So I figured we'd make it Spencley Design Co. as opposed to company, because that's it, gets too long, too wordy.
I, I get it. I get it. Um, it's 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 good. I mean, you're using your name in your business name, and I get it. You go with design, makes it sound upper class, and then co keeps it short. That's awesome. I really enjoyed meeting you at Workbench Con. Did you have a great time?
I had a fantastic time. It was a breakfast or lunch on Saturday, right? I can't remember which meal it was.
Yeah, I
They
can't
all
remember.
blended in.
The whole thing's a blur now.
Oh my gosh, I know. Workbench
There's
Con was phenomenal, but I'm still like I feel like I'm still mentally recovering from how grueling and exhausting it was in a positive way though.
yeah, and I actually had someone ask me, did I hunt you down to introduce myself? And I told
No.
them honestly, you spoke to me first, which
Right.
I really appreciated more than you know. So it's nice, being a little guy on the totem pole and being spoken to
But
by somebody who's growing so quickly.
that's kind of how the whole event was is I mean, I sat down and had lunch with lunch or breakfast. Like I said, I don't know. The meals blended in together with Cam from Blacktail. He just sat down and just started chatting with me. And like one night, Brad Rodriguez talked to me for like 3 hours. It's just like that was kind of how the event was. It was nobody really cared. Oh, you're a superstar. Oh, you're a middle of the pack guy. Oh, you've never started. It was just anybody who's there, talk to anybody.
Yeah, I, that's one of the great things about Workbench Con, and we discussed it last week, so I won't go into a lot about it. Workbench Con is not perfect,
No,
and you're always dealing with the human element. So there may be
right.
one or two people that have awkward interactions, but this year I had no rude interactions.
No.
It was all positive. And talking about big names, I mean, Steve Ramsey had been on this live stream with me before,
Right.
and he was
Nicest guy in the
walking by,
world.
and I was like, "Hey, Steve," and because I was talking to somebody else, and he's like, "RT," and came up and shook my hand, and
Right.
just humble guy, great to hang out with, and you and I know you hung around with Nick quite a bit. It was great talking with Nick as well, and
Yeah.
from Nick Builds and but everyone was like that. What a great time. I did bring something back with me though,
Yeah.
because Tuesday I came down with COVID.
Oh,
So
I heard a lot of people ended up getting a little bit under the weather. I know John from Character Red Workshop, he messaged me and was like, "Yeah, it was great to meet you, but man, I've been sick as a dog for like the last week."
yeah, I was worried about this live stream. I'm just getting over it, and I hope my voice hangs on and we can carry through.
Well, I can
Um,
be a talker. If you ask me a question, you just want to shut up for a little bit, just tell me. I can talk forever.
that's why I wasn't reluctant. I was like, this is a guy that can talk. I can tell.
Mhm. Yeah, I've
uh,
got a podcast where I talk endlessly.
yeah, that's one of the fun things about it, right?
Right, right.
Yeah. You you one of the things I want to talk about by the thumbnail is that from an outsider, we didn't talk about this, but from an outsider looking in,
Mhm.
it appears you're building a community and a business more than you're building a channel. Am I misreading that, or is that your perspective? What is your perspective on that angle?
Honestly, like, my whole thing is I wanna kinda show people that they don't need hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of equipment or, tools or whatever to get started. I started all of this in the parking lot of my apartment. And even now, I'm just in a garage in my apartment. But when I first started out, I had a $200 table saw that I would wheel out of the bedroom that I'm in now. I'd wheel outside, throw it up on the asphalt, make a couple cuts, and it'd start sprinkling. So then I had to bring everything back in. And that was normal to me, but it was also exciting because, like, for the first time I could actually work on something that I really enjoyed and, not have to worry about being bored or anything like that. Did I lose you, RT? I think I might have lost you. Oh, we're back. Okay, I didn't lose you. Okay, I wasn't sure. You're good. You're on mute. Um, yeah, no, it was thrilling for me because I could finally have a little bit of a little hobby, a little something for me to do while I was bored. And for a lot of people, that would be a massive hurdle of, oh my gosh, well, I don't have a 2,000 square foot warehouse to work in. It's like you don't need a lot. Just get yourself the basic set of tools, an extension cord, and you're good to go. You're on mute, RT.
Sorry about that.
No, no, you're good.
So, but that's where I am now. Is everything has to be mobile because
Right.
you know I'm in the garage, but the garage is not my workshop. So I roll things out into the driveway, plug them into the extension cord,
Right.
make my cuts. I have a fold out table that I'm having to use right now and for glue ups, and I'm just trying to have fun and make awesome things with limited budget and limited room,
Right.
and it's amazing what you can do with a $200 table saw. It really
I
is.
I mean, I think I had my first, I don't know, I'm roughly guessing 70 to 80 YouTube videos that I made were all on that $200 table saw. It works. I mean, are there things that you have to make sure that you're accounting for? Like, every time I make a rip cut, I had to readjust the blade because after one cut, it was not square anymore. Like, there are things like that that are kind of funny now to think back on, but you can do anything with cheap tools. The only thing that expensive tools get you is they're a little bit faster and they're a little bit more repeatable.
Yes. You
That's
know,
it.
the $200 table saw will cut.
Right.
It's the fence that is the questionable part. It just takes longer to set it up to make sure that
Right.
it's parallel with the blade, and no safety concerns, and repeatability is always a concern. But you to this day, you don't have every tool. I look at some
No.
channels, and they've, in addition to the table saw, they got the miter saw, they've got the planers, they've got it's just a list of
Yeah.
tools. And I'm adding to my list, just like I'm sure you did over time. I've added a drill saw, and I've added the oscillating sander, which you weren't a big fan of, I don't think.
Oh, no, people hated me for that. People got so mad. Yeah. I did a video that's like a year ago. It was like 5 tools that you should never buy or
I,
whatever.
I've seen it.
Yeah.
Yes.
People got so mad about that one. But it's because, I mean, a lot of people, they treat their tools as like their kids or something. And for me, like, it's just a tool. Like, I don't really care. Like, it didn't work
Uh,
for me, but that doesn't mean it doesn't work for someone else.
well, I may be wrong because it's been a little while since I've seen the video, but I believe you pointed out that it may work for someone else who
Of course.
is working on different items
Right.
than you are.
If you're
Um,
making small things like coasters, cutting boards, or whatever,
yeah,
probably great for you. But
yeah,
I make predominantly what I enjoy building is furniture, and it's just a little small. It's not my particular one wasn't super accurate. I burned through like 4 or 5 of the motors on them, and it's just it wasn't my thing. I actually
okay,
have substantially less tools now than I did 2.5, 3 years ago.
wow, yeah. You just figured out
Substantially
which ones
less.
you didn't need.
Right. If you
Yeah,
go back and, like, look at my videos from 2 years ago, I had all these shelves and everything all over the back of the garage that was just littered with just crap. And I have very little things now, and I don't really need a lot of stuff. Like, I can make do with what I have. Like, would I love to have a 12 or 18-inch wide jointer? Yeah. But I don't mill down lumber very often, so for me to just make a planer sled and just, takes substantially longer to mill down lumber, but it works, and then I don't have something just sitting in my garage that I'm not touching for 6 months at a time. That I spent $8,000 on a massive joiner. Like, I can put my money to better uses at this time.
yeah. So, are you still you're working towards that goal of being full time, or are you full
Ye
time now?
No, always like to say it's a full-time, part-time job. It's, I have a day job. I'm an engineer for a logistics company, and then in my off time, I work on this business pretty much endlessly. So, it's people are like, "Oh, it's like your side job." I'm like, "Yeah, but I put a way more time into this than I do my main job." But, yeah, I would say I could take it full time, but I mean, honestly, right now I have the ability to work both, and I'm not unbelievably stressed out. And buying health insurance as a self-employed person is crazy expensive. So I'm kind of have my feet in both camps right now. But it's definitely in the cards for me to quit the day job sometime soon.
Well, congratulations and good luck with getting to that point.
Thank
You
you.
know, I think a lot of people, whenever they think about what it takes to quit your job and go full time, they think of it, and I may be wrong, but I think a lot of people think of it in equivalent dollars. Like your salary. You make
Sure.
X amount at your regular job. You just need to make X amount at your new job. And whenever you're self-employed, that's not true
Right.
because you've got a lot of employer paid benefits that
Mhm.
most people don't give their companies credit for paying.
Right.
The insurance, whenever you have to pay it all by yourself, you don't get that corporate rate. So you're even
No.
having to pay a much higher premium
Like
in
5x.
in many cases for less insurance,
Yeah.
and you have no security blanket there.
No.
You know you get sick, you get short term, disability that might be covered under what your company's offering you, and you don't show up to work, you still might get a paycheck.
Right.
But whenever you're working for yourself, you got to find a way to keep that income coming in, even when you take a vacation, even whenever you
Right.
you get sick. If you were to get COVID and be out for 2 weeks, what would happen? And it's a
Right.
lot of prep work.
People don't realize that, or they're like, "I wanna start a woodworking business," but they have one single source of income or revenue, right?
Mhm.
I had I had over the summer, I got, kicked off my Instagram account got deleted. So for 4 months, I didn't have Instagram. And if that were my entire source of income, let's just hypothetically say I was only
Yeah.
on Instagram and I made all my money through that and I didn't have another job, I would have been screwed,
Oh yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
And that's why I
And
always tell people, anyone who's getting into the woodworking stuff, even if you don't want to do content creation, you just want to do products, find multiple sources of revenue or income, because you're going to have some months where your most popular, your highest hitting source of income goes from, maybe 10, 100, a couple thousand, maybe 10,000, maybe hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, just goes straight down. But if you have all of those different revenue streams, you're not quite as worried as if you're just relying on one.
yes. Yeah. So I think that's a great point. Nobody foresees it and
Mm-mm.
nobody can plan on it. But the truth is, YouTube allows us a forum to share our content.
Right.
And they've allowed them and Google, right, have allowed the AdSense program to be one of those streams of
Yeah.
income for people like yourself.
Right.
But in the end, they they could stop that or change it significantly at
Right.
any point. And if that is one of your primary sources and you are not diversified on your income streams, you could be left out to dry.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing that happened year and a half ago on YouTube was, I don't remember what it stemmed from, but they basically, the entire AdSense program changed dramatically if you were somebody who was making content directed towards children. So maybe you were, I don't know, somebody who, I'm making this up, saying like nursery rhymes or something like that, and you were making millions of dollars a year on their AdSense program. Well, my understanding is that if you had content geared towards children and all your money was coming from ads, like about a year ago, they made you now mark your content as this is dedicated for children. And those people lost a massive, massive chunk of their revenue because basically the brands didn't want to start, targeting, I don't know, credit cards, life insurance and stuff towards children, obviously, right? And so there was a
Right.
big issue of these ad companies collecting data on children viewers, which is why that whole program kind of kicked in like a year and a half ago. But that's a perfect example of how you could just be one tiny change in a company could derail your business if you're solely focused in one place.
Yeah, I was recently watching a video from vidIQ, and they
Hmm.
were discussing the new payouts or the way that you can get paid for shorts videos. And they were
Don't
talking
get me started on that.
how some creators who were getting the bonus checks
Uh-huh.
previously were making significantly more on their shorts videos and
Mhm.
producing millions of views
Mhm.
than they are getting paid now.
Oh,
And
yeah.
and people say, well, you're just getting paid pennies. No, you're getting paid fractions of pennies.
I
And
get paid 3 cents, roughly 3, I think it's 3 cents for every 1,000 views or something like that,
yeah.
roughly? I don't know. But I had a huge month when it first came out. I had, like, 3 to 5 million views on Shorts, so I was pumped, right? I was like, I'm gonna clean up. I'm taking everybody out to dinner." I got, like, $102. Like, so you're thinking like, okay, like $102. I'm excited for $102. But if you put that into like what would, several million views pay you on a full length YouTube video, you're talking 50 grand?
Yeah, yeah, it's not comparable
No.
at all. Yeah, I get that. I do want to remind our viewers that I have changed format tonight, but the chat is where it's at. Keep chatting it up with each other. If you have a milestone you want to share with us, please put an M at the beginning of the chat to help me find it. And if you have a question for our great guest, please put a Q at the beginning, and that helps us identify it, and we'll try to get to those questions. I do appreciate you being here. Eric, how are you as you build this business?
Mm-hmm.
What revenue streams are you building?
Oh man, I feel like I can't even keep all of them in check. I'd say affiliate stuff, which is like, you'll link somebody to an Amazon link or whatever. Or hey, use code whatever at checkout and you get a couple percent off, and then they shoot me a couple percent. Those are nice, but for me, I don't make a massive amount of money on that. I do Patreon, I do plan sales, I do brand partnerships, I have the AdSense. I recently just got started on Facebook. I have like the Reels bonus things, the TikTok couple sends you a couple pennies a day. Um, there's so many. I feel like I can't even keep track of all of them, but they all add up to be a good amount. But separately, you wouldn't be too hyped about all of them if you looked at them separately.
Absolutely. You talk about links. And certain companies or work with you on that. It's pretty easy, and the most common one that people probably are familiar with is the Amazon
Right.
program, affiliate program. But some of the sponsors at the Workbench Con have affiliate style programs.
Yeah.
I noticed that I think it's on your YouTube and Instagram, and I don't know if you have a link to it on your website, have exclusive deals for your viewers. So they use a link and a code or a combination of the two. Does that also come with an affiliate, or is that something you negotiated with your sponsors?
Those are typically things that you negotiate one-off. Like, I'm trying to think. Like, I know I have one with Total Boat, right? So like you can get epoxy and finishes and whatnot. How those work is you typically build a relationship with that company, and then after a little bit of time, you pitch some things back and forth, and you basically have to make a sales pitch for yourself as a business and be like, hey, I would like to join your affiliate program. Here is my percentage splits that I'm going to propose. And you're basically selling yourself as the product to be a part of that affiliate thing. And there are a lot of other companies. I know if anyone's getting started and they're really interested in this, a lot of the companies that you probably want to work with are pretty exclusive with the people they want to work with, because the more people they have on their program, the more diluted the waters get. But Starbond CA Glue, and they don't pay me anything, but I'm part of their affiliate thing. They will give an affiliate code to anyone. So if you want to get used to kind of like how the whole affiliate marketing thing works, where it's like, hey, use this code to get whatever percent off Starbond, and then you get a percentage of the sale, they will work with you. Even if you only have like 200 followers, they'll take you on.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I think some of our viewers who are trying to build a business themselves
might
want to take advantage of that.
Right.
So what's your history with sponsors, as far as sponsors that pay you to include an advertisement or some way financially incentivize you?
So when I first started, I've only been doing this for like 3 years, right? When I first started, my number one goal was, I was like, I want to get sponsors so bad. How cool is it going to be to have sponsors pay me to do this kind of stuff, right? Everybody thinks it's the dream. So many people told me, Eric, do not get sponsors until you just like until you look at the amount of money that they're wanting to offer you and you like laugh and can't say no. I made the mistake of trying to get sponsors way too early, and somebody might give you 25, $50 to do something. And you're like, oh my gosh, somebody's going to pay me $50 to make this video. But then you realize that you had 37 emails back and forth, and you had 4 different revisions on this video. And you just realized I spent 400 hours. And this is just an example of all this stuff back and forth with the brand. And all I got out of it was $50. Was that worth it? Heck no.
Right.
So I tell everyone now, wait as long as you possibly can before ever taking on any sponsors, especially because a lot of sponsors, if you're not careful, you look at the contract and they try to set you up for exclusivity things. So, oh, you want to work with this brand, finish brand A. Oh, well, if you sign a contract with them, you are not allowed to show any other finishes ever on a website, a picture, a video, or you're in breach of that contract. Be careful.
Yeah, one of the sessions I went to, they were talking about that, how
Right.
They try to tie things up. They'll put little clauses in there that they
Yep.
own the video
Yep.
in perpetuity, and
Yep.
they control if you have it published or unpublish it on your
Mm-hmm.
channel. A lot of control factors, and just dealing with that for a small amount of money is
Not worth your
obviously
time.
not worth it.
Not worth your
You
time.
don't want to set yourself up to be working for less than minimum wage.
Absolutely not. And what you might not realize is that even if you have an account that's, I don't know, maybe you have an Instagram account that's like 500 or 1,000 followers. To you, you might think, oh, that's nothing. There are people with millions of followers. But think of if you had 500 people in a room. That's a lot of people, right? And if those people are very dedicated and you're able to influence these people and be like, yeah, you should look at this certain product. Though that's a lot of eyes. If you have 500 dedicated people following what you're doing, brands will pay for that, and
Yeah.
not a small amount of money. If you've got a dedicated following, brands see that, and you can make some good money off that kind of stuff. But you also can't be the person that just shills every single brand they see. Today's this power tool ad, tomorrow's this power tool ad. Then people aren't going to really believe what you have to say, I guess.
Right. Today it's buy this, and tomorrow you'll be like, oh,
Right.
that's no good. You need this one.
Right. It's a lack of integrity, and nobody's going to enjoy that. But the best thing that's happened for me, and I know this is not feasible for everybody, is I just got an agent that does all of this for me. So I don't have to deal with any of the contract negotiation stuff now. He does all of it, and it is the best thing that's happened. So once you start to get a substantial account, I highly, highly recommend spending the money on an agent that does all of the negotiations for you. They have a legal team, they have a finance department, they do all of it. It is so worth the money. It's like hiring a CPA to do your books as a business. Worth the money.
One of the things during John and Cam's discussion at Workbench Con, they were looking at the chart of a video, and you could see the dip in retention right when the advertisement started.
Yep.
And they pointed out, it may not seem like much, but if you hadn't had that dip, how many more viewers would have been shown that video by YouTube? Right. And that quickly will offset the income that would have come from that sponsorship.
Right.
So picking your sponsors and getting paid correctly. another topic at Workbench Con was that vendors are some vendors are now targeting smaller channels
Hmm.
because they can purchase time with a lot more of them for a lot less money than one
Right.
large channel.
Right. Right.
So be careful that you're not being taken advantage of. You know,
Yeah.
they catch you on the uptick, and then if you do become a big channel, then that video is out there forever for them, and they paid virtually nothing for it.
Right. The one thing I know, people think I'm crazy when I say this. I don't care how small or large your account is. You should never work for just product. You should always be getting paid something. If a brand's like, "Hey, we want to send you, you know, a new drill," all you need to do is make 5 Instagram reels or 5 TikTok videos. No, like you put so much time into that, and if you look at all the time that that you would have spent making those videos, you could have just bought the drill yourself and then had no obligation and no stress about having to do all of this stuff for this other brand. Even if it's something is like, yeah, I'll do that for the drill, and then, I have 100 followers on Instagram, my rate is $25 for a reel. Great. You're setting the precedent that you deserve to be paid for the work that you're doing.
Absolutely.
I liken it to the equivalent of if you go work at a restaurant and they're like, "Oh, well, we'll pay for your dinner every time you work here." It's like, okay, but like I want the free dinner to go home with, and I want you to pay me my hourly rate, right? You don't just expect to just work for food every time you go work at the restaurant. Would be my
Yeah.
suggestion.
um, One of our viewers made a comment, and I'm sorry I was looking for it, but I'd lost
No,
it.
no, no.
They basically said seems to be a lot of engineers that are
Yeah.
into woodworking, and I honestly had that thought myself whenever you said you were an engineer.
Yeah.
Uh, it seems to make sense, but why do you think that is?
For me, it's as an engineer, my day job is so math technical heavy. I'm always in front of the computer doing all the stuff that there was really no right or wrong, or there always was a right answer in what I was doing. I needed some sort of, I don't know, a creative outlet for me to just kind of have the freedom to mess around, be wrong, have things not work out perfectly. And I think a lot of people that I talked to at WorkbenchCon kind of felt the same way. They just wanted a creative outlet, something fun for them to do. And that's kind of how I got into it.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's creative, relaxing way and you already have the mindset, um, but then you get to explore that with your hobby away from what you have to do at work.
Right, right. And it allows me a avenue to fail. I mess things up all the time. And I
What?
found that people love to see it in videos when you royally mess things up. So it's a win-win, I guess.
Yeah. Um, yeah. Some of the best videos I think show the mistakes and show how you can overcome
Right.
the mistakes. We've all seen it though. Whenever you know somebody goes out, they grab a sheet of plywood, and 15-minute video later, they put out a $10,000 clock.
Right.
It's without a single error. Uh, it's great if they did it without a mistake. It's great for them.
Oh, no, there
Uh,
is an error. They just didn't show it.
sure, absolutely.
But the hardest thing for me to realize, and I tell people this now, is if you're on YouTube, when you first start YouTube, you're like, I'm going to make this woodworking video. Everyone who watches this video wants to learn every single teeny tiny detail and step that I put into this. The truth is, 99% of the people that are watching your video have no ambition or drive to ever do any of the things that they're seeing in that video. They're watching it purely for entertainment. So if you make all of these really awkward pauses and start just boring the hell out of people, going into unbelievably small, minuscule details, you're going to lose everyone. And they're going to leave the video, and then your channel's not going to grow super well. That was horribly difficult for me to understand from the beginning. Oh, Suman. Hey.
Yeah, Simon says he'll never know what it's like to mess something up. So yeah, I think it's great. Now, whenever you started out,
Mm-hmm.
You got into woodworking, you started sharing on YouTube. Did you start Instagram at the same time? Which did you start first? Where's your loyalty and where's your love? Which
Yeah.
platform serves you best?
Oh, that's tough. I guess I'll start from the beginning. So, my first YouTube video I put out was how to make concrete coasters, which is funny because that's kind of irrelevant to the stuff that I put out now. Um, I truly I made the video because I thought that where I was going to go with that is this was going to be kind of a video showing how I made these concrete coasters, and I was going to be a business that was going to go to all these different craft fairs and whatnot and sell a bunch of small products. And then very soon after that, I realized that after I made one set of coasters, I had zero ambition to make another set. So very quickly learned that I didn't want to get into just mass producing things and doing like craft fairs and whatnot. So then I thought I was going to start making custom furniture at an affordable price, which if you know anything about building custom furniture for people, you know that that's a nightmare. That's a joke. If you're like, yeah, I can make you a dining room table for $200, don't do that. Um, and then it just kind of got to the point where I kind of had fun just exploring, trying new things. I kind of enjoyed editing the videos and whatnot, putting them out there. And I realized that I really didn't have any ambition for working for clients, and I just kind of wanted to build all this stuff for myself. So I think I started on YouTube, and then I kind of like got on Instagram because people were saying that you should be on Instagram. So I did. I took some photos and whatnot. And the Instagram started kind of blowing up, doing pretty well, and YouTube wasn't doing much. So I was kind of enjoying Instagram. Um, but this was back when Instagram was valuable and you could learn stuff, and it wasn't just people dancing to obnoxiously loud music all the time. So, yeah, Instagram doesn't really do much for me anymore outside of like stories and people send me messages because I'll respond to any message you send me on Instagram, but I just truly don't have the time in the day to look at comments and stuff like that anymore. Especially on YouTube, if you get like, 500 to 1,000 comments a day on YouTube, that's a full-time job in and of its own just to respond to that. So TikTok, it's a dumping ground for me. I don't get value out of TikTok. They don't pay anything. Facebook, I just kind of started getting into Facebook now, but honestly, I would say YouTube is my main platform. It's the one that I enjoy consuming the most, and it's the one I enjoy producing the most. So I would say that's definitely where my loyalty or most excitement lies is with YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube is so versatile. I think
Mhm.
you can, as a viewer, you can find exactly what interests you, and the system. I'm trying to avoid the word algorithm, but it serves up similar to what your interests are, and
Right,
it does a good job doing that.
right.
From a content creator standpoint, YouTube seems for me seems to be where it's at, and I'm all in. It's where I do this live stream. It's where
Right.
when I make videos, that's where I drop them. But I'm trying to be more active in Instagram because there are certain people that really like that more social, interactive,
Hmm.
and honestly, in the past, I've used it more for messaging. Trying to get
Right.
get people to show up here,
Right.
and
But it's the
than
perfect
than
place to
content.
connect because you don't have everyone's phone number. You might not have everyone's email address, but most people on Instagram, if I see a message, and as long as it's not just complete spam, I'm happy to chat with anyone because it took effort for you to go to my profile, hit send message, as opposed to just writing some BS comment underneath something, right?
Yeah,
And I'm
absolutely.
happy to interact with people there. I enjoy it. I enjoy getting messages from people.
But I did notice that you have that backup Instagram handle now.
Oh yeah, that was during that debacle of an Instagram time over the summer. Whew.
Yeah, it's got to be rough,
Oh yeah,
and
especially
it
as
happens to
lost a
people all
lot
the
of money.
time.
Yeah, it's frustrating as heck for sure. But the thing is, there's nothing you can do about it. They want to delete your account, they can, even if it's a software glitch like it was in my case.
Wow. Yeah. So, are you whenever you're making your videos, are you
Mhm.
using a DSLR camera, phone? What are you using?
I have. Let's see if I can pull it out here. Got it down here. Stand by. Gonna hear some banging. Sorry. This looks way more complicated than it actually is. This is a Lumix GH5. And so it's a mirrorless camera. And then on
Okay.
top, I have like a shotgun mic that would pick up just like tool noise or whatever while something's running. And then I also have this thing here. It's a wireless microphone. This is a Rode Wireless Go. So one of them I'll clip onto my shirt, and the other one I attach to the camera, and then it'll allow me to walk around um, and talk, and it'll be very clear because the microphone is so close to my mouth. It's not going to pick up like a bunch of background noise and stuff. But I will be one of many people to tell you, you do not need one of these. If you look at this thing, there are 1,000 dials on it that you probably have no idea what any of those things do. Don't waste your money on one of these. Just use what you have. Use your phone. It's way easier. Are there limitations of the phone? Yes. But if you don't know what those limitations are, you do not need a DSLR or mirrorless camera because you're gonna pull this thing out of the box and go, what the heck am I doing? Your phone is fantastic at what it does. Think of uh, Jason Hibbs Bourbon Moth,
Yeah.
one of the bigger channels. He uses an iPhone. Keith Johnson uses an iPhone. Cam from Blacktail used an iPhone for like the first third or half of his videos when he was still getting millions of views. Tons of people use iPhones.
Yeah.
You don't need the camera. Cameras are expensive. They're tough to learn. They're annoying. Use your phone. Just put it on airplane mode so if somebody calls you, it doesn't ruin your recording.
Yeah. Really. That never happens.
No,
Um,
no.
yeah. So that's good to know. And you already addressed my next question, which is on audio, because
Mhm.
there's a emphasis on audio.
Oh,
People
100%.
people tend to forgive if the image is not perfect, but bad audio, they'll scroll to the next video.
100%. The best thing I would suggest is invest in some sort of microphone. Or if you don't want to buy something expensive, like if you just want to film with your iPhone, but you want to stand 30 feet away and talk to the camera, but you're unwilling to invest in a wireless microphone, just don't do that kind of shot. Instead of you talking to the camera from 30 feet away, film whatever you want and then do a voiceover. So you can be by your computer with even if you just talk straight in your computer, it's going to sound way better doing that than it is trying to yell across a field while it's windy into your iPhone mic. It's not going to pick it up.
Right. And you're gonna get every bird and dog and car going by.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But this, I know it might seem expensive, but it's actually pretty cheap. This Rode Wireless Go system is like, I think it's like $180 maybe, which is pretty cheap if in the like wireless microphone scheme. It's
Yeah.
pretty good. A lot of people use these. I know John from Lincoln Street uses this. I know Scott Walsh uses one. I think Suman uses one as well. Tons and tons of people use these. You
Yeah.
don't need anything super crazy.
That's pretty awesome.
Mhm.
You do all the editing yourself, or have you given
Ah,
that out to anybody yet?
I am the worst at delegating tasks. Um, it's not that I don't trust people. It's that I'm used to doing it a specific way, and for me to give up the tasks to somebody else is kind of stressful to me. I've kicked around the idea of getting a video editor, but every time I'm like just about to reach out to somebody to do it, I pull myself back. But I know that I could free up so much time if I got a video editor, especially now that I'm really trying to hone in on Facebook, and that's just going to be repurposing old content. For me, once I've edited a video, I have no interest in re-editing it into a different format. That sounds miserable to me. But that's like the best use of my time to grow that Facebook audience right now. So I don't have a video editor. I know that I need one, but I'm too stubborn to hire one.
Well, there was a company at Workbench Con that will run that Facebook page for you
Oh, yeah,
and split
yeah.
and split the commission with you.
That's another one of those things. I personally have looked at the contract of those. I know there are a couple other companies that do that. I'm not prepared to take on those contract terms at this time. Not speaking ill of anybody who does that. It's not something I'm prepared to take on at the moment.
Yeah. Um, all right. So somebody else already took my next question, so I'll read it from Biscuitry Woodworks. Glad you're here. It was good to see you. Do you make your plans yourself, or do you source them out?
Right now, I make all the plans myself. However, I have been speaking with quite a few folks to potentially outsource the plans because they take a boatload, boatload of time to make. I have a lot. I think I have like 20 or 30 plans on my site that are free. But then I realized that I needed to start charging for them to make up for that time. I do make them myself, but the reason I make them for myself is because I have limited time to be out in the shop building stuff. So I kind of more or less digitally build my products. And while I'm doing that, like, so I'll kind of digitally build a piece of furniture, try to figure out, oh, I should cut this and then assemble it. And I'm like, oh, no, that doesn't work. Well, I should have assembled this part first. And then I can make the plan. So then when I do go into the shop, I'm I'm basically just focusing on the filming, not so much the trying to figure out exactly how I want to build this thing right now. So for me, building the plans does take a lot of time, but I'm also hashing out a lot of details, potential errors, and mistakes while I'm building the plans, as opposed to while I'm building the project and trying to film. And that would just, for me, is way too many things at one time. It would stress me out.
Yeah. So what do you think makes some plans good and some plans not so good?
Well, to be honest with you, when I first got into plans, and I'm not going to say names because I don't think that's the intent of the question here. I paid for about 5 or 10 people's different plans. I didn't want to build the project. I just wanted to kind of see what they were offering, what quality they were giving, the level of information that they were giving. And the majority of them, not all, but 2/3 of them were very rudimentary level information to the point where if I really wanted to build this, I would have a lot of additional questions. And then some people had such an unbelievably high level of detail that as soon as I opened them up, I instantly said, "You're not charging enough." Um, so my intent was, if you take my plans alone without the video, you'd be able to build it, but it's much better suited as like a companion piece, right? So I'll give you all the measurements and everything, but I'm not necessarily going to give you like this teeny tiny tip or trick of like, oh, when you're doing this, try this. I just be like, oh, cut this at a 45-degree angle, an inch and a quarter from this edge here, and it should look like that. Mine are more of a companion piece that fills in all of the gaps that the video doesn't give you, and then the video fills in all the gaps that the plan might not give you. So it's a companion thing.
Good point. Dusty Trails Workshop, always good questions. Let's see what Dusty Trails has for us. What's that hurdle your hand to overcome to make that jump across the platforms?
So, yeah, this one is kind of tough for me. As I said earlier, YouTube is my primary platform. It's what I enjoy consuming the most. So I don't have cable. I watch breakfast and lunch. I watch YouTube. It's some woodworking, but a lot of other different spaces and fields and whatnot. Because it's the one I consume the most and I enjoy consuming the most, I also enjoy producing that content the most. I don't use well, I should say, I don't consume TikTok. It doesn't provide value to me. If people love it, that's great. It's just me personally, it doesn't provide value to me. So I open the app, I post a video, and I immediately close it. I don't know if you can message people on there. If if there is messages, I apologize because I've never looked at them. It doesn't provide me value, so I I think it would be a poor decision to not put any time or effort into it. I still see a lot of traffic come from TikTok to YouTube and my website and whatnot, but I just don't really enjoy it. So I will. My kind of strategy is I shoot primarily for YouTube, and then I will come back and after I've made a YouTube video. So here's a behind the scenes secret. The stuff that you're seeing live on Instagram isn't live. I've already made that YouTube video a month or two ago. Um, I will shoot the whole YouTube video and then I'll kind of go back and be like, oh, this was kind of a part that I talked about, maybe an interesting sanding tip or a joinery tip. I'm like, oh, I could cut that out into like a vertical short form content video. Um, that's really my strategy as far as like doing short form stuff. It's my biggest thing is I don't get a ton of value myself personally out of consuming a lot of short form content, and therefore I don't really enjoy making it all that much, especially when I get frustrated that one of my best performing videos is me just, and I post this all the time because it gets millions of views every time. It's just epoxy dripping out of pieces of wood. It's like a 4-second long clip. Like it provides zero value, but it does super well. And it frustrates me, but I guess it's part of the short form content game, right?
Absolutely, it is. Yeah, that's we all have our favorites, I think.
Right.
Let's Dusty Trails says, ooh, what's the project you would say was your favorite or best?
Favorite. Oh man. So this is something that I think a lot of people maybe don't or won't identify with. I think I may be on an island with this answer. I build something, one, because I need it, or because it's like a thought that I have in my head that I'm really interested in a design or a joinery technique, and I just kind of want to get this thought that I have in my head out physically out in the real world. Um, Most of the time, once I've gotten that specific part of the project done or just the project done in general, I have no interest in that project anymore. I'm over it. Like, I could build a table today and have the blast building it, and tomorrow I don't really care about it all that much, to be honest with you. Um, but if I had to pick one thing that I made that I liked the most, I would say it's my dining room table. And if people that have listened to my podcast know, this is an ongoing joke. Um, I built this dining table almost a year ago and still haven't put the video out. I think it's going to be my next video, so anybody out there, stay tuned for that one. But that project was full of so many things that I'd never done before, and it was so interesting to me to try all of these different things, and then also put it out into something that I'm really happy with the way it turned out. It's something that my girlfriend and I use almost every single day, and I just love the way it looks. And I'm really excited to get that out there. And I made plans for it and everything. Let's say the dining room table, but nobody has any idea what I'm talking about because it's not out yet.
All right. Favorite project is to be released.
Right. Hopefully, it was going to come out first week of April, but I had to move it, I think, the first week of May now. That's the beauty. That's the other thing people don't realize with sponsors. The video's been done, but the sponsor's been horsing around. Oh, we want to release it during a campaign during this month. No, we want to do it this month. And then that sponsor backed out, and now I had to get a different one. And yeah, that's the reality of things that you don't see behind the scenes.
Yeah. That's it makes me think they were talking at Workbench Con about agreements, and this wasn't on for YouTube. It was to be on a TV show, and
yeah.
in the agreement stated that you could not be in another TV show
Yep.
for one full year after that episode had been on the air. Well, then networks may delay putting a show on the air for years, or eventually not put it on at all. But in the meantime, you're held up from your career trying to get on somewhere else.
Right. I mean, do you know how long after Jason from Bourbon Moth, he was on like a TV show? It was like 6 to 8 months, maybe almost a year from the day he finished filming to the day that they actually published it.
Yeah.
So I have no idea if he was in any sort of contract or anything like that. But yeah, like you said, it could tie you up for something additional that you didn't forecast.
Yeah, that's insane. You got to be careful with those contracts.
Right.
All right, Damon. So I told them to put a Q if they had a question, I am if it's a milestone. But a K for kidney stone. I'm feeling for you. I've never had one, but I've literally seen a very tough man come to tears with one. So I feel for you.
I've heard horror stories. Luckily, I've not experienced one.
Prayers for you, my friend. Let's get to another one of Damon's questions here. What percentage of comments are negative in regards to your having a sponsor or someone sending you a tool to review?
Well, I do not do tool reviews or paid tool reviews, I should say. Funny story. I guess I'll give you the abbreviated story because we don't have all night. Rigid sent me a miter saw not too long ago, and it was a while ago, and I did a video kind of about it, and it's a terrible miter saw. And they told me, they're like, yeah, no strings attached, you do whatever you want with it, no contract, nothing. They were not happy that I said that the miter saw sucked. I even told them, I was like, hey, this is loose, this doesn't work, this is horribly inaccurate. And they had no response. So I just put out the video. They were not happy with that. So I don't do paid tool reviews anymore. I actually never got paid to do a tool review. They just kind of gave that to me. Um, but as far as like what percentage of comments are negative or whatever, to be completely honest with you, now it's impossible for me to look and respond to every comment. I would spend 24 hours a day doing it. But before my channel really started to pick up, I did look at every single comment or reply to everybody. The overwhelming majority, I would say, out of 1,000 comments, you might get maybe 2 or 3 that would be negative, or people just trolling you or whatever. But that's just how the internet is. If you put yourself out there, there's always going to be somebody that has some garbage to say. But realize that that's the reflection on them, not a reflection on you. And to allow that to consume your mind is just a waste of energy. But I will fully admit that during the times where I would get negative, hateful comments, it did bug you. But what worked for me the best coping strategy for that was just to tell someone about it. So maybe if you have a group of woodworkers or friends or whatever, you'd be like, ah, man, this person said this to me today. And then the response you always get from people is like, oh, well, that person's a turd. Like, don't worry about it. And for me, just, getting it out of my head was the easiest way to deal with it. But there are turds out there, but the overwhelming majority of people are positive. It's a super, super, super small percentage of people that are just trolling you. But that's anywhere, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if they have something negative to say about your sponsors or about a tool that you're using or a tool review, then add it to the list of things that people might say.
Right.
But we're human, right? So that's it's easy to say, don't worry about it. But you've got to have some kind of outlet, like you said, telling somebody or, writing it down. There's a couple of there's some YouTubers that seem to get a kick out of responding to those people, but
I know there's some people that they're excited to get negative comments because they want to see like how witty of a response that they can give to them.
Yeah.
That I'm as somebody in the industry, I'm sure that's their version of the coping strategy.
Yeah.
And if it works, fantastic. Not what I do, but if it works, I'm happy for
you. Yeah. I haven't got overall a lot of negative comments, but some of the ones I've got, some of them are actually pretty funny,
right.
Talking about the length of my forehead, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I laughed at those.
Do you get ones that the people tell you you remind me of somebody, or your voice reminds me of somebody?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, what do you get? Anything good?
Oh, what's the guy that does the paintings with the fuzzy hair and does the
Bob Ross?
Yeah, somebody said in
Okay.
one of my videos, they said, your voice in this one reminds me of Bob Ross. And I'm like, going to sleep, are you?
What I hate is when people say like, you remind me of so-and-so. And I don't know who they're talking about. So I was like, I don't even get the reference. I don't know if this is a positive comment or a negative comment, but it is.
Do you Google who they referenced?
I usually don't have the time.
Yeah.
I gotten that I look like somebody from a Twilight movie or something. I don't know. That's like the vampire thing. I couldn't tell you who the actor is, but I've gotten that one a couple times.
Oh, that was the Sparkly vampires, not the old school vampires.
Yeah, right. It was like the love story vampire thing from like 2005 or something. I've never seen it.
The Oregon vampires. Yeah, not the Transylvania vampires. No, that's good stuff. I'll jump to another question here. What's the business strategy behind having a lot of free plans? It takes a lot of time to get any returns.
Well, when I first started, the strategy, and I'd actually recommend people give out a couple plans for free. One, it allows people very low barrier of entry to enter into your business, right? So if people are like, I'm kind of interested in checking out Eric's plans, but all of them are, 16 bucks. I don't know if I want to spend $16. Wait, he's got a couple free plans. Okay. I can go check out those things and be like, oh, yeah, this isn't going to be helpful to me. This isn't the quality I'm looking for, the instruction I'm looking for. No loss for them. But the people who download those free plans and then go on to buy or purchase plans, I see a really, really high percentage of people who purchase or download the free plans and then come back to actually purchase plans in the future. So I think it's kind of a lead thing. And peek behind the curtains, to get access to those free plans, you do have to give me your email address. So then I'm going to build an email list. So then when I come out with things, maybe products, new plans, new videos, or whatever, I have a list of all the people who were once interested in what I had to offer, so I can help, promote things out. Which is why a lot of, your classic thing is, hey, sign up for my email list and I'll give you 10% off a purchase and you'll get a free ebook on how you should finish dining room tables or something like that. The entire intent is, one, to give you a little bit of value, but it's also to get you attracted to that individual person's business and see what kind of value they have. And now, if you've gone through the effort of giving them your information and getting a little bit of value from them, you're much more inclined to potentially purchase something from them in the future. So it's a marketing strategy. I definitely would not do as many free ones as I did. I think I'd probably only do maybe 2 or 3. But at the time, I was trying to get as many people as I possibly could invested. And in the video, when I said they were free plans, it would be pretty disingenuous, I think is the right word, of me to go back. And now if somebody's like, oh, sweet, these are free plans, they click on the link and then now it's $15 for them to download it. Not a good look. So that's why I have so many free ones. But I wouldn't suggest doing so many.
Yeah, that would be an instant negative, wouldn't it? If you were to
Right.
click on it, and
Right.
it definitely, which makes me think of clicking on things. So whenever you talk about thumbnails and titles, everybody talks about clickbait.
I know where this
So,
is going.
do you? Yeah. So, what's your opinion on clickbait and what really qualifies as bad clickbait? And where do your thumbnails and titles fall in?
Okay. I'm glad that you said bad clickbait. Okay. Clickbait in and of itself is not a positive or a negative thing. Something to be clickbaity means somebody, and in the sense of YouTube, right? The only way someone will watch your video for you to get views on the video, and then in turn for you to be able to monetize it and then grow your channel, is for people to be presented that little thumbnail that comes up and then go, I should check out that video. The way you get people to check out the video is for your titles and your thumbnails to be attractive or to be a clickbait, right? So I'm trying to get people to click on my video. If I have a really crappy title and thumbnail, people aren't going to click on it. I'm never going to get any views. Now, where the common term of clickbait comes in is where the title and thumbnail deliver absolutely zero relevant information to what the video is on. So my perfect example is if you have, a scantily clad woman on a thumbnail, and the title is something like, "You won't believe what she did," or something silly like that. And then you start a video and it's how to cook pizza. Okay, that's bad clickbait because you're playing on people's emotions and visual interest to try to drive them to something that is completely irrelevant. On the other hand, I've done some videos. The one people always give me a hard time for is I was building a nightstand, or no, I was building a wine rack, right? And the title of the video is something like, what is it? People need to stop doing this, right? So that's the title. And then the thumbnail is just me gluing boards together. So in the video, I go through the whole process about, how I'm building this wine rack and everything like that. And then I talk about at the end, like a bunch of mistakes that people commonly, make. And like, I don't know why people always do this. Like, people always try to stain stuff walnut to make it look like walnut. Well, if you want it to look like walnut, just build it out of walnut. And that was kind of the tie-in of the title to the video. Is during the whole video, I'm talking about things that people do that I don't know why they still continue to do that. So that is something where I would say it toes the line in the gray area of good or bad clickbait. I would say it's good because in the thumbnail, you can clearly see this is going to be some sort of building, woodworking relating thing. And in the video, I instantly get into woodworking, talk about things that people do, about things that you could potentially improve, things that you need, things that you don't need. And so I'm kind of playing on that title. But the idea is to get people interested and pull them into the video and make them want to watch it, but still deliver on something. So I had another video of like, don't buy these 5 tools or something like that. Well, that somebody is going to say, oh my gosh, I want to make sure that the tools that he's talking about aren't tools that I own. So if on the thumbnail, I just had a picture of all 5 tools and the title was don't buy these 5 tools, well, somebody already knows what the things are, but they might go, oh my gosh, I have tool number 3. Why should I have not bought tool number 3? So I would argue that that's a clickbait title. However, it's still providing value in the video if I go in and why I wouldn't recommend this tool. It's not disingenuous and just leading you to nowhere, right? Does that make sense? I feel like I talk a lot about that.
Now, so of course, some of your video titles and everything and thumbnails, some would consider to be clickbait.
Of course.
But I do think there is a difference between click trap, bad clickbait, whatever you want to call it, with your example of the, picture of the girl and then you're showing how to cook a pizza.
Right.
So at the same time, if you give away the answer from the thumbnail, why do I need to watch the video?
Exactly.
And if you just say, how to build an end table out of walnut, and I'm not interested in how to build an end table out of walnut, I would be interested in some technique or some other fact that strikes curiosity. And I think that's
perfect sentence.
A big difference. I don't have a problem with your titles or images.
My biggest problem is that when somebody sends me a message, they're like, hey, have you ever built a dining room chair? Do you have a video on it? And I go, yes, I do. They're like, can you send it to me? I'm like, give me a half hour to try to figure out which of these videos is the dining room table, because even I don't know. Or dining room chair, right?
Yes.
It's tough, but you made a very good point. My titles used to be how to build a modern coffee table, and then the thumbnail would be a picture of the coffee table. Well, if you go on YouTube and you see that coffee table and you go, oh, okay, yeah, I can see how it was made, or I don't really want that in my house. why would you ever click on the video? Right? I'm instantly alienating a ridiculously large percentage of people because I gave, like you said, gave the entire project away. You now know what it looks like. You can kind of piece together how I built it. And unless you're just unbelievably curious about that specific coffee table, you're never going to watch the video.
Well, I think, and I may be completely wrong, but I think that how-to videos that are labeled how-to with a picture of the end result have their place on YouTube. And I think that
Absolutely.
those show up in search results. And I think that somebody can build a channel over time with evergreen content based on those how-to, and they will get views, but it will be over time. And I
Right.
really think that the videos you're putting out are educational, but I think they're
It's
entertainment
entertainment.
based.
100%.
And you want to be on the suggested feed and get
Right.
trying
Right.
to get that. I don't want to claim to know your numbers, but trying to get that 100,000 views in a month
Right.
versus 100,000 views over 5 years.
Right.
Um,
Right. Right.
and because we don't know what the future holds. We need
Right.
to get our views while we can.
Right. And that's another thing. I'm glad you brought that up. Is for me, SEO, the search engine optimization, like putting relevant tags and words and whatnot in titles, does nothing for me. That is like 1/10 of 1% of the views that I get come from search. Because on YouTube you can look at all of it. I think it's like 97% of mine come from suggested videos and like the feed. So if you just open up YouTube and it's just like, here are 6 videos we think we're interested, that's 97% of my views. That's the way that a channel gets big. Not really through searches that much.
Now, for those who put out those bad clickbait, there's nothing more frustrating than giving me a subject that I'm really interested in. If you show me an image of a tool or, some technique that I think you're going to use in the video, and then you never use it in the video, I don't bother subscribing, because
Right.
I'm not gonna be interested.
Right.
So yeah, I get the difference.
The biggest indication of the quality that you're putting out is it's really simple, right? RT, if you go onto a video and you're expecting one thing and instantly you go, "Oh, this is trash. I'm out of here." And you stay on that video for 2 seconds, YouTube goes, "Oh, we got to keep this in mind." And if 150,000 other people click on this and instantly back out in 1 second, that's a red flag to YouTube saying, hold on, something is wrong here. People are instantly clicking out of this video.
Yeah,
That video will be dead.
yeah, they'll stop suggesting it real quick.
Right.
Damon, I see you're giving me suggestions for video titles. My hotel neighbors were doing this during my live stream. Yeah, we don't discuss that here, Damon. And RT's next video, I found this in my beard. You don't want to know. You don't want to.
That's not a terrible title if you can substantiate the claim off of something like that
Hey,
throughout a video.
I'm just having troubles with the photo for the thumbnail. Okay. Suman, he's saying I picked the wrong thing here, but he says consider pulling back on Facebook. Bonus pay is apparently ending.
Oh,
Whoa.
I know, Suman. But I feel like I've heard this for a long time. This concept of them changing the monetization strategy. My thing is, I have every Instagram video, like all the short form things, I have every single one saved. So for me to just dump hundreds of videos on Facebook, the only time it takes me to do it is just to select a file on my computer and throw a title on it. Like, I'm not investing, I'm not going out and like refilming all of this stuff to to put it in something that could potentially die. But at the same time, Suman, for all we know, YouTube could end their monetization next month too. But that's why I'm not just all on one. But it's scary. You never know.
Yeah. YouTube and Google could take their ball and go home, and that'd be the end of that game.
Well, they already take the majority of the ad revenue.
Yes. Yes. Dancing Alone with Reynolds says, what type of filming did you do before that you would not do now?
Mm-hmm.
I.e., close-ups or saw blades or intros or cats walking past.
Yeah. So this is one thing that I've definitely stopped doing. And it was hard for me at first, but I took an inventory of what I would go watch a lot of other people's videos and be like, what if I was watching someone else's video and I thought to myself, I'm thinking about closing out or exiting this video, perhaps. I would take a real critical thought to what had just occurred that made me think, huh, I don't want to watch this anymore. One of the main things is intros. So if I go onto your video and you're like, hey, I'm so-and-so, today I'm going to teach you how to do this, and then you have a 15-second intro, I'm sure that you spent a lot of time making that sizzle reel, like all these perfect transitions and stuff. If I don't know you, I don't care. I want to get straight into the meat of the content. So a lot of what I've kind of been experimenting with lately is literally just starting the video with, so I was doing this and this and this and this, like just get straight to it. Like you don't need this precursor because it's going to turn a lot of people off. So intros are one thing I definitely killed. As far as like close-ups or like styles of shot, I can't provide any statistical analysis that would give evidence to one style of shot being better or worse than another. For me, it's pacing. It's keeping people interested. We've all watched this movie or a YouTube video that just drags on, and you're thinking about like, I don't know, maybe I should just watch something else. If you're thinking that, make note of what happened and don't do that in your videos.
Yeah. And I've been guilty of it, but it bothers me now, especially if I watch my older videos.
Oh yeah.
Is repeated things. So if you're doing a cut and you're ripping boards down to 1.5 inches wide,
right,
and you do that 30 times, nobody wants to see that.
No.
They need to see it once or twice and move on. And at the end of the video, end it. It doesn't need to linger on, and say, oh, I appreciate you coming out, and
out.
Spend 5 minutes asking people to like and subscribe.
Right. So one thing you can do, what I do is like, say you have to make, again, 30 rip cuts. They're all the same. Put the camera in one spot, film one. Now move the camera to another spot, film another, and move the camera to a third spot, film it again. Now play back that cut in real time, but at a third of the way through the cut, now switch to the other camera angle. And then 2/3 of the way, switch to the third camera angle. So it gives the appearance that you made the exact same cut with 3 different cameras. And it's way more interesting than watching a 15-second long clip of you making one rip cut. Like, okay.
Visual interest. Absolutely.
Right.
Yep. These are all great pointers. I apologize if I missed anybody else's milestone or question. Eric, I got a couple of more questions for you. If you can hang on to answer those.
Yeah, no rush. I'm here for it. I got a seltzer water. I'm ready to go.
Everybody check out Eric's channel. He's over 120,000 subscribers right now, but he's growing according to what I saw from TubeBuddy Chanalytics. I mean, I think he's growing at a pace of about 14 or 15,000 subscribers a month.
It's it's going wild recently.
I
But
think that's awesome.
yeah, I know what it's from. It's because I spent 80 to 100 hours painstakingly going through every single video of mine, coming up with like 10 to 15 different thumbnails and title combinations. It was grueling. And then just start A/B testing all these old titles and thumbnails to see what performs better. It was awful work, but it has paid unbelievable dividends.
Are you using A/B testing through TubeBuddy or doing
Yeah,
it on your own?
to my knowledge, TubeBuddy is the only one that has that capability.
I really think it's something YouTube should introduce. I mean, whenever you upload a video, I think you should be able to upload 2 or 3 different thumbnails.
Of course.
And YouTube should be doing that testing because they have all the true data.
Right.
And they could do it completely random to different. I'm
Mhm.
sure they target the video to certain groups or
Yeah.
niches of people,
Right.
and they could test it in a true manner. So you get similar times a day to a similar crowd and get more accurate results, and then eventually default to the thumbnail that works the best. I don't know if they'll ever do it. I keep bringing it up, hoping they're listening to this.
I think everybody on the platform is praying for it because I don't want to pay for TubeBuddy if I don't have to.
Yeah.
It's expensive.
Yeah. And if they were to do that, and it'd be awesome. Nobody wants to pay that cost.
No.
But here, Eric, we appreciate you coming on. Here we focus obviously on woodworkers and YouTubers or media creators and makers.
Yeah.
However you want to look at it. But for our closing questions to you is, what would you say to someone who is just starting out woodworking?
Mm-hmm.
And then what would you say to someone who's just starting out with YouTube?
I would actually answer both of those questions the exact same way. I would say, don't worry about what other people are doing and telling you to do. Just do what interests you. If you want to build cutting boards, you don't have any interest in building furniture, and you get tons of enjoyment and reward out of building cutting boards, go for it. I'm not going to tell you that you can't make an incredible business off of cutting boards. I'm just telling you that's something I don't want to do. Also, if you're trying to talk about content, some people can't imagine doing a voiceover, recording a 20, 30, 40-minute YouTube video, but they want to just, take a couple clips of them building something and put some fun music over it. And to them, that's a 10 out of 10 enjoyment. Do that. Whatever you're interested in, just keep doing that, and you will find a way to monetize that. And if you don't, and you just enjoy doing it, that's cool too. It's pretty basic, but it's honest.
Absolutely. Eric, I appreciate you. I enjoyed meeting you. Mm-hmm. And I hope you had a good time tonight. Maybe we can have you come on some other time.
Yeah, I'd love to. This is a blast. I always enjoy doing these.
Cool. Thanks, Eric. But for me right now, I hear my wife calling. I got to go.
There ain't another girl like her in the city. No, she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. I feel this way, but I'm the right, she's driving insane. And don't you know you oughta pump the brakes? I can't tell you why don't you let it go. I'm the line and finally I'ma let you know you're somewhere in between my legs. Hey, there ain't another girl like her in the city. Yeah, she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. straight. And don't deny or reply, I don't wanna wait. We're at the end of the road, it's time to let go of everything. There ain't another girl like her in the city. No, no, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. So leave me alone before I end it up here. Wonderful, another reason to be held around for a while. This is where I leave. You don't have to speak. There's no room for goodbyes or desperate lies between the teeth. That's just how it goes. Everybody knows there's no room for your games. And I'll remain. There ain't another girl like her in the city. Yeah, I know, you know she looks so good, but she ain't so pretty. So leave me alone before I end it up here. Wonderful, with another reason to be held around for a while. There ain't another girl, ain't another girl, ain't another girl. There ain't another girl, ain't another girl, ain't another girl.
Saw that they were gaps in the market.
think it's important that, as much as I'm not really a fan of saying having the avatar behind the camera, I do think it helps to imagine that you're actually talking to somebody who will be watching the video. Sometimes it's easy to forget that you see numbers of people watching, but you forget that these are actual people watching your video on their phone or on their TV or wherever. And I think it's important to keep that in mind.